Hi guys, so today we're going to talk about how humans affect the Earth's systems. And remember the last unit we talked about was the different Earth systems. Hi guys, so today we're going to be talking about how humans affect Earth systems. And remember in our last unit we discussed the different Earth systems, so let's go over that quickly today. Everything on Earth is divided into these four major subsystems or spheres. And let's take a quick glance at that. We have the geosphere, the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, and the biosphere. So let's recap what each sphere, what system pertains to. So we have geosphere is land, atmosphere is air, hydrosphere is water, and biosphere is all living things. Let's take a quick look at a video that I have that really demonstrates and explains what these four spheres are.
Earth is kind of like a puzzle. And I don't mean a puzzle like, where did my brother put my hairbrush? Or what exactly is in the tacos they serve on Taco Tuesday? I mean that our planet is made up of four very different parts that all work together to make Earth the lovely place that we know it to be. We call these parts spheres, and between them, they contain all the stuff on our planet. Everything from the fish in the ocean to the air we breathe. Earth has four spheres: the geosphere, the biosphere, the hydrosphere, and the atmosphere. So what exactly are the spheres? And what's in them? Let's take a look at two, the geosphere and the biosphere. Up first is the geosphere. Geo comes from the Greek word for ground. You may have heard this before in words like geology or geography. It basically means having to do with the earth. And in a way, the geosphere is kind of like the skeleton of our planet. All of the other spheres are built on top of it. It's made up of all the rocks and minerals on Earth, from the biggest boulders to the tiniest grains of sand. And all of the landforms that those rocks and minerals make up are part of the geosphere too. I'm talking volcanoes, canyons, beaches, mountains, you name it. If it's made out of solid Earth, it's part of the geosphere. Now, it's important to remember that the geosphere includes only non-living stuff. Living things do need to eat, though, and all living things are part of another one of Earth's spheres, the biosphere. Bio is Greek for life, and like geo, you've probably heard it before in words like biology, the study of life. The biosphere is made up of many different biomes. Biomes are regions that have similar kinds of plants, animals, and other living things that have adapted to live in that particular region's terrain and climate. Deserts and forests are types of biomes. So are rainforests, grasslands, and wetlands. All of these biomes and many more make up the biosphere.
Okay, so now let's look at the next two spheres.
Remember when we were putting together the puzzle that is our planet, using the 4 spheres as giant pieces? Well, we got pretty far last time, but we're not done yet. Oh no. That's because, in addition to the geosphere and the biosphere, which we talked about last time, there are 2 more spheres that we need to complete our planetary puzzle. Those are the hydrosphere and the atmosphere. So without further ado, let's dive in. See what I did there? I said that because the first sphere we're going to talk about is the hydrosphere. Hydro comes from the Greek word for water, and all of the water on Earth is in the hydrosphere. This means that every single drop of salt water in the oceans, but also all of the fresh water in lakes and rivers, is in this sphere. And it includes all of the water trapped in glaciers as ice, and the water held deep underground. Now, there's also water in the air around us, too, which we can sometimes see in the form of rain and snow. Those things come from clouds, which happen to be way up in the atmosphere. Our last, but certainly not least, sphere. This sphere contains all of the gases on the planet, which is fitting since atmos comes from the Greek word for air. Although we can't really see the atmosphere or grab onto it, it reaches everywhere and covers the entire planet like a giant snuggly blanket. But our atmosphere blanket isn't all the same. It's split up into many different layers. The troposphere is the lowest.
Okay, so that was a really good explanation of the 4 spheres, and I hope you guys picked up some of the main points that we had discussed in the last unit, just going over that again. Now we're going to think about how all these systems work together. So each of these systems that we talked about, the biosphere, the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, and the geosphere, all these systems include many parts that work together. They interact constantly, affecting the Earth's surface and its processes. An example of this is a plant growing and how it interacts with the biosphere, the plant, and the geosphere, the land. And when this plant grows and soaks up groundwater, this interaction between the biosphere and the hydrosphere and the geosphere, the plant, the water, and the soil, the plant will also use carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to grow. So it's all working together to help this plant grow. How do people help protect the Earth? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Our lesson question, how do people help to protect the Earth? And our learning objective, we will be able to obtain and combine all the information we learned from our lesson today, and we're going to learn about how humans impact the systems of the ocean. We have coral reefs in the ocean. How many of us enjoy going to the beach and swimming in the ocean? And when we're in these at the beach or in the bay, we want to make sure that these areas are clean for us to be in and enjoy. So what are some ways humans or human activity adversely affect our environment? So we have agriculture, plants that we eat and how they grow. We have industrial plants, and we have sewage going into the water. And how do we affect the oceans? How do these things that we were talking about, plants and farms and industries that build a lot of the things that we use, and when we dump things into the ocean, how do these activities affect the ocean? So we have deforestation. Does anyone know what that means? Okay, so we have deforestation is the removal of trees to clear spaces for houses, new buildings, and farms. So a lot of our houses or the stores that we go to, we had to remove trees in order to build houses and stores and build farms. Air pollution. We burn coal in these power plants that we saw in the last picture to generate electricity, or when we drive cars, these pollutants enter the air, and these harmful chemicals mix with water and mix in the clouds and enter the oceans when they rain and cause air pollution. We have agricultural runoff, which is the use of pesticides that we use on some farms to kill insects that harm the plants. These pesticides enter the water runoff and eventually end up in the oceans and bays. We also have single-use plastics. So plastics that we use once, like the plastic water bottles or the Gatorade bottles, these are single-use plastics, and it makes up 40% of all plastic trash. And these four affect our planet. How do people protect the earth? What can we do if these things are hurting the earth and have negative effects on the earth and our waterways and our oceans? How do people help to protect the earth? Okay, so our activity today, as we have discussed how we affect the earth, we're going to look at ways that we can protect the earth and our environment. It's really important, right? Because we live, we walk, we want to be able to breathe in clean air, be in the ocean. We don't want to hurt animals. What can we do? So I want you guys to either pick up a book that I have recommended, work with a partner, or you can research these 3 sites. Then you will create a presentation via Google Slides, a poster or skit to demonstrate ways that we can protect the earth. And these will go into more detail about ways you could protect the earth and the things that we talked about, how it negatively affects the earth. And I want you to get together with your partner and discuss this together. And you're going to create a Google slide or a presentation or a poster. And I'm going to show you an example of 2 presentations, really simple presentations, and you can, be more elaborate on it when you're with your partner or working independently. Of projects that we can do or create to demonstrate our understanding of how humans affect the Earth system, specifically affect the oceans and the waterways. Does anyone remember which sphere, which system the ocean's a part of? That's right, hydrosphere. So we have in the first video a student making a poster. And let's see what he's created. Save the turtles. That's great. Okay, now let's look at another project that we can create. The student made a Google Slides with 4 tips on how to help save the earth. Don't litter, use reusable bags, don't use plastic, and recycle. And I want you guys to come up and be creative And I want you to show ways that you can protect the earth and the environment.